Imagine spending just 8 hours and coming out the other side thinking like a millionaire, acting like a leader, and believing like a world changer. What if in the span of one day you could silence doubt, break limits, and rewire your entire mindset for success? This isn't a fantasy, it's the power of Napoleon Hill. His words have guided kings of industry, sparked revolutions of thought, and transformed ordinary lives into legacies. His wisdom isn't just for reading, it's meant to be lived, breathed, applied. So today, for the next 8 hours, we go deep. Not into noise, not into hype, but into the pure mental gold that Hill left behind. This is more than motivation. This is reconstruction of your belief system. Word by word, principle by principle, we're going to rebuild how you see failure, wealth, discipline, and purpose. If you're ready to rewire your thoughts, reshape your destiny, and reclaim the power that's been waiting inside you, then don't just listen. Lean in, because your breakthrough begins now. Thoughts are things, and powerful things at that. These 6 words are not just a catchy phrase, they represent the foundational truth of Napoleon Hill's philosophy. They form the core of his teachings in Think and Grow Rich, a book that has inspired millions across generations. But what does it really mean when Hill says that thoughts are things? On the surface, thoughts may seem invisible and fleeting, mere electrical impulses in the brain. Yet Hill challenges us to understand that every great achievement in human history first began as a single thought. The skyscrapers, the airplanes, the internet, the very speech you're listening to, all were once just ideas in someone's mind before they became physical reality. When Hill says that thoughts are things, he means they are real. Not in the sense of touch or sight, but real in their ability to create and influence the world around us. A thought once fueled by desire and belief becomes a force. It triggers emotions which lead to actions which lead to results. Every single innovation, every business empire, every social movement has its roots in thought, and the most powerful part of this idea is that we all have access to it. You don't need wealth, connections, or even education to have a thought, but you do need discipline and clarity to turn that thought into something that changes your life. Hill teaches that the mind is like fertile soil. Whatever thoughts you plant, nurture, and believe in will eventually grow. If you plant seeds of fear, doubt, and limitation, your life will reflect those very beliefs. But if you plant thoughts of purpose, abundance, and determination, your life will mirror those as well. The choice of which thoughts you water is entirely yours. That is the beginning of personal responsibility and the true awakening of your inner power. This idea also invites a deeper awareness of what we allow into our minds on a daily basis. The books we read, the people we associate with, the media we consume, all influence the thoughts we entertain. And if thoughts really are things, then every input is shaping the things we are bringing into reality. Hill's philosophy demands that we become guardians of our mind, standing watch over what enters and what we allow to take root. For the thoughts that stay with us longest are the ones most likely to become action. Moreover, this principle speaks directly to the way successful people think versus those who remain stuck. Successful individuals are not necessarily born with more intelligence or talent, but they are often obsessed with a vision, a thought so powerful and persistent that it shapes their behavior and fuels their perseverance. They see possibilities where others see problems. They think in terms of solutions rather than setbacks. This mindset, cultivated over time, begins to shift their entire reality. They do not let negative thoughts dominate. They redirect, reframe, and reimagine what's possible. And because thoughts become things, their world transforms to match their mental blueprint. The real power lies not in thinking just once or occasionally, but in habitual thinking. The thoughts we return to daily become our beliefs. Those beliefs become our expectations. And those expectations influence the way we carry ourselves, the energy we bring to challenges, the persistence we summon in adversity. Hill understood that the brain doesn't just process thoughts passively, it acts on them consciously or subconsciously. That's why he emphasizes the need for definiteness of purpose and focused intention, because a mind without direction is like a ship without a rudder. It may drift, but it will never arrive. So when Napoleon Hill says thoughts are things and powerful things at that, he's not making a metaphor. He's revealing a truth about the nature of the universe and the role we play as creators of our reality. You become what you think about all day long. This profound statement from Napoleon Hill speaks directly to the very essence of human transformation. It's not merely about what we wish for or what we hope will happen. It's about what occupies our mind consistently and repeatedly. Hill understood that the human mind is like a magnet, drawing in experiences, people, and opportunities that align with its dominant thoughts. Whatever thoughts you allow to dominate your consciousness will eventually shape your beliefs, influence your actions, and construct the reality around you. This principle rests on the foundational law of attraction and mental conditioning. The more we dwell on a thought, whether positive or negative, the more power we give it. Over time, those thoughts settle into the subconscious mind and become the driving force behind our decisions, our behaviors, and our expectations. If your mind is constantly filled with fear, self-doubt, and worry, you unknowingly begin to create a life that reflects those patterns. You speak with hesitation, act with uncertainty, and retreat from risk. The results you get mirror the mindset you operate from. But if your mind is anchored in purpose, belief, and clarity, your actions become more intentional and the outcomes align with those thoughts. Hill's statement is also a call to take control of our inner dialogue. Most people go through life unaware of the thoughts looping in their heads. They let their minds be shaped by the environment, by media, by other people's fear. But Hill challenges us to become conscious creators of our inner world. What are you thinking about throughout the day? Is it a clear vision of the life you want to build, or is it a replay of past failures, imagined fears, and unfulfilled potential? The answer to that question determines who you are becoming. This principle also emphasizes the importance of mental discipline. It's not enough to think positively once and expect change. Real transformation happens when the same empowering thought is repeated over and over again until it becomes a part of your mental DNA. Hill advocates for practices like daily affirmations, visualization, and focused intention, not because they are trendy, but because they are tools to condition the mind toward success. The mind, like a muscle, responds to repetition. The more you think in alignment with your goals, the more your subconscious accepts those goals as inevitable. Additionally, this truth reveals why people who are deeply obsessed with a vision often achieve the extraordinary. Their constant focus on a singular purpose wires their thoughts, feelings, and actions in the same direction. It's not luck, it's consistency of thought. They are so immersed in their mission that the world around them begins to organize itself in response. New connections emerge. Creative solutions appear. Obstacles that once seemed impossible start to shrink. It's as if the universe begins to cooperate with a mind that is singularly focused. But this concept doesn't only apply to grand goals or wealth. It applies to every area of life. If you constantly think about being healthy, your habits begin to support that vision. You eat better, move more, and sleep well. If you think about improving relationships, your behavior changes in subtle but powerful ways. You become more empathetic, patient, and emotionally intelligent. Every thought sown eventually reaps a result in the external world. Hill's words also hint at the hidden danger of unconscious negativity. Most people don't realize how often they think about what they don't want. Failure, rejection, scarcity. By focusing on these things, even unintentionally, they invite them into their lives. The mind doesn't distinguish between wanted and unwanted. It only responds to focus and emotion. That's why Hill emphasizes the need to be deliberate with your thoughts. What you focus on, what you think about most becomes your reality. And over time, without even noticing, you become a living reflection of the thoughts that consumed your days. One of the most common causes of failure is the habit of quitting when one is overtaken by temporary defeat. Napoleon Hill's words pierce deep into the heart of what holds so many people back from achieving greatness. Defeat is not failure. It's an event, not a definition. Yet the moment it arrives, many retreat, give up, or change direction, convinced that the challenge in front of them is a sign to stop. Hill challenges this narrative by redefining defeat not as the end but as a test, one that determines who is truly ready to claim success and who was only flirting with the idea of it. Temporary defeat is an unavoidable part of any worthwhile pursuit. Every inventor, entrepreneur, athlete, or artist who ever made history faced moments when nothing seemed to work. Plans failed, efforts fell short. Critics laughed, the bank account hit zero. But the ones who kept going, who pushed through the uncertainty and pain, are the ones we remember. Hill studied the most successful men and women of his time, and he found that they all had one thing in common: persistence in the face of failure. They didn't quit when things got hard. They adapted, they adjusted, but they never abandoned their ultimate goal. There is something psychologically powerful about being able to tell yourself that defeat is only temporary. It shifts the experience from one of identity to one of learning. Instead of saying, "I failed," you begin to say, "I learned something." Hill believed that every defeat carries with it the seeds of an equal or greater benefit, but those seeds can only be harvested by those who keep going. Quitting is easy. It requires no courage, no vision, but persistence is what separates the dreamers from the achievers. Hill observed that many people stop just short of success. They're 3 feet from gold, digging a tunnel, and when the progress slows or resistance increases, they walk away unaware that just a little more effort would have brought the breakthrough. Temporary defeat is often the final obstacle before victory. It's a filter designed to test how badly you want what you say you want. And if you're willing to persevere past that breaking point, you prove not only to the world but to yourself that you're ready. This concept also highlights the importance of emotional resilience. Temporary defeat doesn't just affect your plans, it affects your confidence, your mindset, your sense of identity. It whispers doubts, amplifies fears, and tempts you to believe that you're not cut out for the path you've chosen. But Hill reminds us that these emotions are part of the process, not evidence of inadequacy. The mind must be trained to endure failure, to see it as feedback instead of finality. That kind of thinking transforms every defeat into a lesson, every setback into strategy. Another hidden truth within this keynote is that quitting too soon often happens not because the goal is unreachable, but because people underestimate how much effort true success really requires. Society romanticizes the outcome, but rarely shows the ground. So when people hit obstacles, they assume something is wrong. Hill destroys that illusion. He shows that every successful person paid a price: time, struggle, pain, rejection. The difference is they kept going when others didn't. This message is especially crucial in an age of instant gratification. We want results now, validation now, wins without the waiting. But real transformation doesn't come overnight. It demands sacrifice, patience, and above all, consistency. Temporary defeat will come. It's not a matter of if, but when. And when it does, the voice of this keynote becomes vital. It's a reminder that persistence isn't a bonus trait of champions, it's a requirement. To keep going when every reason says stop is the moment when character is forged. It's when your identity is no longer built on emotion, but on decision. One of the most common causes of failure is the habit of quitting when one is overtaken by temporary defeat. Napoleon Hill's insight here is not just profound, it's piercing. It speaks to one of the most overlooked truths about success. The road to greatness is littered with obstacles, setbacks, and moments of deep frustration. Temporary defeat is not the end of the road, it is a necessary detour, a test designed by life to measure the strength of your desire and the depth of your commitment. Most people never reach their full potential, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they abandon the journey the moment things get uncomfortable or uncertain. Temporary defeat comes to everyone. It might appear as a failed business, a rejection letter, a missed opportunity, or a plan that falls apart just before the breakthrough. To the untrained mind, this defeat feels permanent. It feels like a message that you're not good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. But Hill teaches us that temporary defeat is not a verdict, it's a challenge. It is life asking you a simple but powerful question. How bad do you want it? Because if you give up the moment you hit resistance, you didn't want it as much as you thought you did. Success does not surrender itself to the impatient or the easily discouraged. It yields only to those who keep moving, even when everything tells them to stop. There's a hidden danger in the habit of quitting too soon. When you quit once, it becomes easier to quit again. The mind begins to associate discomfort with defeat. It starts to form a pattern that says, whenever it gets tough, I'll walk away. This mindset becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You never develop the resilience, the discipline, or the emotional toughness required to overcome the inevitable challenges on the path to your goal. Hill warns us not to fall into this trap. He urges us to develop the mental habit of persistence, the unshakable belief that no matter how hard it gets, you will keep going. Hill studied hundreds of the world's most successful individuals, and he found that nearly all of them had experienced crushing defeats before they reached their breakthroughs. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before creating a working light bulb. Henry Ford went bankrupt multiple times. Abraham Lincoln lost elections, failed in business, and suffered personal tragedy before becoming one of the greatest leaders in history. What separated these people from others wasn't a lack of defeat, it was their refusal to let defeat define them. They treated every setback as a stepping stone. They understood that each failure carried within it the seed of future success, but only if they continued to move forward. Hill's message is not just motivational, it's strategic. When you encounter temporary defeat, you gain information. You learn what doesn't work, where the weak points are, and what needs improvement. This feedback is invaluable, but you only receive its full benefit if you stay in the game long enough to apply the lessons. Quitting robs you of growth. It halts your momentum and prevents you from evolving into the person capable of achieving your goal. That's why Hill places so much emphasis on persistence. It is not a suggestion, it is a law of success. This principle also speaks to the importance of emotional mastery. Temporary defeat often comes with fear, disappointment, and even embarrassment. But those emotions are not signals to stop. They are signals to reflect, refocus, and recommit. Hill challenges you to rise above emotional reactions and to make decisions based on vision, not feeling. He wants you to ask, is this defeat final, or is it a temporary storm I must weather to reach the next level? Because the truth is, your dream may be closer than it appears. Many people quit right before the breakthrough. They step away from their goal when they are just inches from success, simply because the discomfort felt overwhelming.